So it is raining. It's ugly out here. And I had a doctor's appointment, and she didn't tell me that I needed to, have drunk something. But I didn't know before that I was going to ask her for all of these tests to be ran. But it's my physical, so might as well go ahead and get it out the way. So she was asking me, had anything changed? Have there been any big life changes? And I'm like, where do you want me to start? So the first thing is I'm finally finished with school, um, and that was a big stress reliever. Got that out the way because at the last minute I started struggling in my research class with my lab partner. I hate working with partners, and it's not anything personal. I know what I'm gonna carry. I don't know what the fuck you gonna do, and I know I'm gonna get mine done. I don't know what you're gonna do. And so it was a little young white boy. Think he knew everything. At the last minute, he changed my work in our project on our Google Slides. But I emailed her and I said I refused to get up there and present a presentation that I didn't do, and she understood it. And so from that point on, it seemed like I was on a defense from every non-black person, black people too, but it seemed like every non-black person was trying me and was trying to push buttons, and they kept on pushing and poking and probing, and it spilled over. I went to work last week. It was a Wednesday. I hadn't been in a while because I don't have access to do my job completely. And the last thing she told me was she would let me know when I had access. So fine. I finally answered her, responded to her text message. I told her I'd be in after finals was over. I wasn't feeling good. I had this fucking boot on my foot. I'll be in. So today I told her I'm coming 11 to 3. That's what I've been working. A couple of days a week before I had access. Now, supposedly to her, I got access, and it's been over a month. So I go in, and yes, I'm already, on edge. I've got a lot of shit going on, but I'm going to still be professional, and I'm going to keep it, I'm going to always be professional. I'm able to leave home at home, work at work, and go home. I'm able to do that. I could turn the shit off, no problem. She had got a little, and I already told you I'm on edge. So when I found out I didn't have access, she told me call the help desk. She went out of town right after she made sure. I couldn't clock in. She didn't know how to do it. She did not help me clock in. So when I started pulling up the system and stuff, she told me I had some learn shares, which is like some online learning. So I still don't know if I could get in, to do anything yet because the learn share was like 56 minutes. So she was probably already in Georgia by then. And so when I texted her, she said, call the help desk. The help desk said, oh, you have access to do cash draw. I don't do that. I do registration. So there's nothing I can do. So I text her, and I said, why haven't we come back? So, because I'm thinking you knew what you did, you put it in. So she said she'll send somebody, her supervisor, around to talk to me. Cool, and I just looked at the other girls. So I was like, just print them off, and I'll do what I've been doing. I'll go to the room, I register, and bring it back. You print it, and I'll keep going. Because that's the way it had been working. And I had been registering more patients like that than some of the people who had been there way longer than me. It doesn't take me long to learn the job, but if I can't get in to do the job, then the first day I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I've never seen this. So before I had access, she asked me, do you feel comfortable? No, because I don't know how to do it. And then she said, are you upset? And only time you get upset is when somebody asks you, are you upset? So, yes, I did get upset. I said, no, I ain't upset. I'm just frustrated with this shit. Once I get frustrated leads to, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Or it can be this way or it can be that way because, I ain't going to take that shit home because the people at my house don't deserve that. So, anyway, this Wednesday, she tell me her manager's going to come around. They come over and they ambush me on the way to register 2 patients at one time. You understand? So she ambushed me, and she was like, can you do this? Can you come meet with me? And I looked at my watch, and I said, I get off at 3 o'clock. No, I won't be able to do that. And she was like, she snatched the clipboard out of my hand, and I'm like, oh, this bitch want to fight, because you don't snatch nothing. And she was like, well, we'll let them finish registering. We'll go up here and talk. I said, I told you I'm leaving at 3 o'clock. She was like, okay, we'll be done by 3. I said, well, let me go in here and get my phone. And when I got my phone, I should have recorded, but I didn't because I'm thinking this is going to be, simple. So we get in the room. It's me, the girl, the supervisor, and another manager. And, they kind of like have a seat. So they tell me to sit down. I don't know, tell me what to do. But I sit down anyway. And when I sit down and my first, what's up? And I had too many friends say, what did you do? And then one girl was like, I know how you folded them ones. You sat back and you gave this lady this dry, I don't give a fuck, and did, and do. Because now you asked me to perform a job, but you don't supply me with the things that I need to perform the job. So she wants to know, what are my complaints? Where you want me to start? Terrible communication, bad leadership, I still don't have access. Like, where do you want me to start? And then I said, well, the help desk told me, she was like, well, people at the help desk, they don't want to take responsibility for what they do. That's exactly sound like what you're doing to me now. They telling me she put it in wrong. You telling me that they didn't put it in right, but it couldn't have been on her. So she was like, she's a good leader. I'm like, cool, okay, whatever, And I talk with my hands. Even when I make videos, I'm going to talk with my hands. She was like, can you stop pointing at me? I was like, you want me to sit on my hands? You want me to sit on? She was like, you know what? I don't think this is a good fit for you. I was like, okay. I got up, and she was like, if you walk out, then I'm going to take it as you resigning. So I shut the door, and I said, so what's up? And then when I wouldn't back down, and I wouldn't calm down, and I wouldn't shut up, she decided, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for you. I said, okay, say less. She said, well, why don't you go and clock out and get your belongings and leave? And I said, sure. Can I get it in writing? And she said, I'm not going to write that down. I said, you not? And then she said, but I'll be glad to have a meeting with you with HR. And I said, I would love that. But I expect for you to have a better attitude at this next meeting, okay? And I turned around, I walked out, I grabbed my stuff. I couldn't clock in, so there's no way I can fucking clock out. You know what I'm saying? I would have had to tell somebody to get off. So I got my stuff, I left. Friday, I sent the email because my manager told me in order to get anything from HR that I needed to email the people who originally hired me because I'm a third party. I ain't even a part of the hospital for real. So I emailed the main thing, which she's copied on that email. And I said, I need a separation letter from where Lisa fired me on Wednesday. It wasn't even 10 minutes later. She calls. I didn't fire you. I said, yes, you did. No, I did. Yes, you did. So now me and my better half are going back and forth because he's saying that I still have a job. And I'm saying, she fired me. You don't get a chance to fire me twice. And the crazy part is, I've never really been fired from a job. This is my second time in 6 months being fired from a job. But I'm not tripping. Like, lady, go ahead and give me my motherfucking paper. Because I'm not coming. It's a hostile environment to me. I can't work. You snatch your papers, you ambush, you put me in a situation like where they moved us to, my nerves, like my back is to the door, so I'm dysregulating my nerves. Like somebody gonna come in here in a minute, like I cannot work in that type of environment. I got PTSD, post traumatic, everything. I just can't do it. But let me ask you a question: if somebody tells you to pack your things up, clock out, and leave, are you fired or no?